Wait for you to see Tim here on stage. What we will have is a little taster of Matilda the Musical. Tim's going to talk about himself as well, but I want to tell you more about Matilda too, because this is going to be the biggest musical in the gorgeous Civic Theatre since 5 years ago, when we saw Mary Poppins fly off the stage, gaze up at those incredible stars upstairs and disappear into the ceiling. People still talking about that, and I've no doubt that people will still, in years to come, be talking about Matilda too when we see her here. Some accolades to mention. This is incredible. Matilda holds the record for the most Olivier Awards ever won by a musical in the UK. It's the most awarded musical in Australian history too, so that, that speaks for itself really. It continues to sell out houses every week on the West End. It played for 3.5 years on Broadway. It's played many season extensions in Toronto. They just lap it up there. And it's just about to wrap in Australia, where over 1 million people saw that musical. Don't know if we can quite get 1.3 million here in Auckland, but we will absolutely try. Now, if you're not a fan of Tim Minchin, that is absolutely disgraceful. I'm disgusted. I will see you on the way out. But if you are, you know you're in for a treat this evening. And if you aren't, by the way, you will be by the time he is finished up here on stage tonight. I first became aware of Tim when I saw a YouTube video back in 2013 after he was awarded his honorary doctorate from the University of Western Australia. He delivers an incredible address to the room there, along with 9 life lessons. And I think you should absolutely go home and search that, because he's a very funny, very witty, and very clever man. He grew up in Perth. He then went to Melbourne, where he made a name for himself on the comedy and cabaret scene. Then he decided to test that in Edinburgh. Evidently that went quite well. Then he went to London. There he performed with the Heritage Orchestra. Again, a video that you should check out is his performance of Thank You God, which is one of my favourites actually. It's a little bit tongue-in-cheek. If you're easily offended perhaps, but you might want to stay away from that one. But I highly recommend you check it out. In fact, all of those performances. And of course he was approached to write Matilda the Musical. By the way, and maybe we'll talk about this with Tim a little later on, not the first time he'd thought about being involved with Matilda the Musical. I'll leave that one hanging. Now, aside from comedy and all of the stuff he's done around Matilda, he's an award-winning actor as well. He's been in Californication, where you can see him with not much but a guitar on. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead for the Sydney Theatre Company. Judas in Jesus Christ Superstar, you can just see it. And he's won a Logie Award for his incredible performance as Smasher Sullivan in the Australian miniseries The Secret River 2. I could go on. That is just the short version of what this man has done. But I'm not going to go on, because we actually want to see him perform. He will do that very soon, but first I want to show you a little bit of what Tim's been up to over the last few years.
After conquering Australia with his insightful and biting musical comedy, Minchin has taken his talents to the world.
And all the ladies, they agree it's a fact. Once you gone, she can't go back.
After hitting it big in the UK with an arena tour and countless television appearances, he met a little girl named Matilda, and together they've taken the West End and Broadway by storm. Writing the music and lyrics for the stage adaptation of the Roald Dahl classic, the show has been a phenomenal success.
Please welcome the brilliant Mr. Tim Minchin. Tim Minchin. Mr. Tim Minchin. I need a song that is only 3 minutes without no bumps or blasphemy in it. You don't get lost by lingering, but I better get a giggle with my fingering. The ginger can call another ginger ginger. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ed Sheeran. Matilda is something that 60-year-olds and 80-year-olds and 40-year-olds like as much as kids, because we've tried to say a lot about us as well as about childhood, and trying to use this brilliant genius child Matilda to sort of illuminate something about what it is to be an adult. When you're grown up. 2013 Broadway.com audience favorite goes to When I Grow Up, Matilda.
And the Olivier Award for the Best New Musical,
Matilda!
will be president and build big walls, ban Muslims, play with Putin's balls, grab pussies off the lady grown up. When it's cold and bleak, I feel no fear, even in the fiercest storms. I am warmed by the slow stubborn fire, even when outside it's freezing. I don't pay much heed. I know that everything I need is in here. It isn't much, but it is enough for me.
It's quite awkward walking on after that. You
No
just lower
way.
the expectations a bit. Some of you are standing, so I'm going to try and go quickly. This is an old song about a dickhead I know. He doesn't have a problem with drugs. He just doesn't do them. He's fine that his mates have tattoos, but he reckons they'll rue them. He likes going to pubs, but he hates it when the music's too loud. He tends not to go to rock concerts because he can't stand the crowd. But all he's ever wanted to be is a rock star on MTV. But he knows that it's not fucking likely. He's now in his 40s. He knows that he will always be a rock and roll nerd. He'll keep writing songs the world will never hear. Though it sounds absurd, he'll just keep writing. Oh yeah, but you see the problem is he always dreamt of being a star, but he learned piano instead of guitar, which in the 90s didn't get you very far. So all the other kids were learning stairway. He was the piano to their forte, but he was convinced one day he'd rock their asses and be an icon for the disenfranchised masses, and grow his hair long and rebel against the state. But just for now that'd have to wait, cause he's running late for his morning classes. But he will always be a rock and roll nerd. He'll keep playing gigs that no one knows about. But though it sounds absurd, he'll just keep playing. Oh yeah, but you see the problem is there's not much depth in what he's singing. He's a victim of his happy middle class upbringing. So he can't write about the hood or bling bling. So he sits and imagines his girlfriend is dead, to try and evoke some angst in his middle class head. But the bitch is always fine at 9:30 when they go to bed. And he's not spent a single night in prison. He has no issues with nutrition. He has no drinking problem and no drug addiction, unless you count the drugs they put in chicken. Marijuana always tends to make him cough. He doesn't look good with his t-shirt off, and when he tries to act tough, you can tell he's tricking. Showers and gets a good 8 hours. He gets his thrills from his morning run, while his mates go on dates, taking speed and drinking cans of Jim Beam. He's his home cooks, grows up with a book with a girl he's had since he was 17. Because he's never really been part of the scene. Give him Guns N' Roses, he'll take Queen. knows that his music lacks depth, but it just can't be helped. He has nothing interesting to say, so he writes about himself. But he doesn't want to seem self-obsessed, so he writes in third person. In an attempt to seem more rock and roll, but he suspects it's not working. Deep in his heart, he knows he will never be Bono or Bowie. And even if he was quite pretty, with no pants like Miley, he knows that he will always be a rock and roller. He writes songs the world will never hear. Nobody won't be heard. Just keep writing. Out there, you can criticize him, but he won't care, 'cause he wants to rock. He will never be deterred, but he'll always be a fucked up little tryout wannabe rock and roll. Well, this is a weird gig because I'm sort of meant to be performing and telling a story of Matilda. So I wrote the story, and I'll sort of read it out now, talk, and then I'll play a few bits of stuff and get lost, and it'll be awkward, and then might have some questions if I haven't gone on too long, which I will have. The weird thing, anyone come? Was anyone at the last gig I did here in 2009? Do you remember what the venue was? Everyone's telling me it was in a tent, but I don't remember.
Lower NZI!
What?
Lower NZI! Our cheer centre!
Yeah, your jazz centre? Jazz in Kiwi is dangerous. I'm just saying. Jazz on the deck is just unheard. I can't believe I'm doing Kiwi accent jokes. It's lazy comedy. Yeah, like I was saying, it was in a tent, but it wasn't. It was in a jizz room. Anyway, so the weird thing about the last time I was here is that it was 2009. I didn't realise this. So I was looking today, trying to figure out what the hell I was going to talk about, and I realised that I was here in March 2009, which is kind of interesting. I can do this with my hands. It's interesting for a couple of reasons in terms of the story of Matilda, because firstly, that was the last leg of the Ready for This tour. I'd already done England and stuff, and I'm not very match fit. I'm still out of breath from rock on. And I had to get this tour done because I was here in March. I had to do a comedy festival in April, and then I had to get back to England because my wife was there 6.5 months pregnant with my son, who I didn't know was a son, but it was, as it turns out. So far, I don't want to impose. If he wants to be doing it's not. Let's not. And these days, I'm just scared of even talking. Hashtag bigot. She's sitting there, and I have told the Matilda people that I would deliver my first draft by the time he was born, so I could have some time off. And I hadn't started yet, so that was July. So I had to get back to England and write Matilda. So that was right in the middle of this era. And the other weird thing is that Ready for This, that show I last played in New Zealand, is in a roundabout way the reason I got the job writing Matilda. So I'll tell you that story quickly, or long. I'll make it long. So a few months before I was last in New Zealand, in sort of December 2008, I get this call from my agent saying the Royal Shakespeare Company wanted a meeting, and I had no idea what it was. And I was sort of in the middle of Ready for This, and I was excited. I thought maybe they, had found out that I did Shakespeare in the Park in Perth, and they wanted to see my bottom. That's a Midsummer Night's Dream joke.
But I went in and I didn't know, and I'd heard I was going to meet this guy Matthew Watches, but I didn't know who that was, and I was too lazy to Google it, and I'm glad I didn't, because it turns out he's like a multi-Tony Award-winning guy with a reputation for being quite scary, and so I walked in not knowing that, so that was fine. And what you don't know, etc. Can't hurt you, unless you're present. In which case you get it wrong. Anyway, I won't get too political, except later. Because Matilda, anyway, doesn't matter. I walked into this office, it's very quiet-spoken, quiet, little, handsome Matthew, who is now one of my dear friends, and who I've spent thousands of hours with, but I've never met him before. He's almost a little on the spectrum. He's very inward, and he said, do you know of the works of Roald Dahl? And I went, yeah, I mean, Dahl's the author of my childhood. I mean, my entire childhood can be measured out in dance, you know. It's without doubt the voice of my childhood, if I had to pick an author. And he said, so do you know of Matilda? And I went, yeah. And he went, have you ever thought of writing musicals? And I said, well yeah, that's what I do. Because I got known as a comedian, that's all anyone knew, but between the ages of 17 and 27, I wrote a dozen scores for musicals, starting with Love's Labour's Lost when I was 17 and a half. Which was written, maybe that's not key, it doesn't really matter, does it? I took the the words of Shakespearean sonnets and poems of other contemporaries done, you know, what were they called, metaphysicists, and we used those words as the lyrics. Mistress mine, where are you rolling? If anyone's heard this, then you're a friend. Stay and hear your true love's coming. Trip no further, pretty sweet tale. Journey's end, new lovers meeting. They can sing both high and low. Every wise man's son doth know. Love's Lost. Next year, it's so weird. I've never played any of these songs since then. Like, until today, I went, what was that? It's really weird for me. This sort of indulgence, I don't know, I hope it's interesting. And then I did Mother Courage the next year, which later Linkin Park stole. So that's 5 years before that fucking stole. I don't know why mine didn't go as big. Mine was reckless. The New Year's come, the watchman shouts, the thaw sets in, the dead remain. Wherever life has not died out, it struggles to its feet again. Pick which Shakespeare. I did all Shakespeare correct. I don't know why it was at uni. I can't play anymore. Merchant of Venice, almost racist. You know, Tempest, and then in fact all the way up till the year I started doing okay in comedy. In 2005 I wrote a musical with Kate Mulvaney, who's just been nominated both as a playwright and an actress at the Helping. She's extraordinary. Back then we were less extraordinary, or not acknowledged. It's the biggest paycheck I ever got. I got $10,000 to write an entire musical, and it was called Somewhere. It was about the outer suburb of Sydney, Penrith. The entire the closing up went, sun comes up over the Nepean River. I could be anywhere, but right now I am happy here. This is my somewhere, this is my town. I'm gonna be here when the sun goes down. The sun comes up. So anyway, around that time, Matthew didn't know any of this. I eventually started throwing crap demos at him. I don't know if that improved my chances or not. But around that time, interestingly, somewhere in between my failed album recorded in my lounge room with my band Tinny the Dog. Why didn't that come here? And like Rock and Roll Nerd, which was my sort of desperate, which I wrote before I was doing comedy. It was just like, I guess that's why I got into comedy, because all my songs were stupid. Kind of a desperate cry of the sort of of middle-class white guy going, what do I write about? I want to be a musician. So in the middle there, I was working for Bark and Gecko Theatre Company, a children's theatre company in Perth, and I was doing a lot of kids' theatre, writing for 1,001 Nights, and it got into my head. I don't know why, I don't know what it did, but why I thought of it. But I wrote a letter to the Dale Estate, Hotmail, early Hotmail, around 2000, asking after the rights for Matilda. And I thought they would say, oh, fine, just send us 15% of the box office, and I would put it on for 2 weeks at Bark and Gecko, and that would be the end. And like everything I've ever written, it would be done and then gone forever. Until tonight. And they wrote back and said, we are very interested in stageification of Roll's work. Please send us a sample score and we'll consider it. And I went, what's it? I can't write music, so I just went, scary, and that was that. But there I was, sitting in the offices of the Royal Shakespeare Company talking to a double award-winning Tony thing who was saying, we are considering various composers and lyricists for Matilda, and I told him the story, and I don't think he believed me, and I don't know if he does, but it's true, as far as I remember. But he went, oh, and he's very inscrutable, Matthew, and he just sat there and went, oh, that's interesting. And I started talking, because I do, and I started ranting, because I thought, well, look, they're probably, someone's gone, get this idiot in, because he can do silly rhymes, but I thought they're not really going to give it to me, they're going to give it to a composer, to someone who can, proper. And so I just started talking because I really didn't want him to fuck it up. And I basically said, whatever you do, don't fuck it up. Because it's Dahl. And you know as well as I do that Dahl is about darkness and light, and somehow he talks about, Matilda's actually a story about colour abuse and about fascism and despotism and emancipation via knowledge, and it's an awful story, but he manages to treat it incredibly lightly, and it's funny and dark, and you will screw it up if you get a Disney type composer. You'll blow it. So just like whether or not you get me to do it, like don't ranting on and on. And half my brain was thinking you really should get someone proper, and half my brain was thinking you could get me. You could get me to do this. Interestingly, I didn't know this at the time, but they'd already got Dennis Kelly, who writes incredibly dark, fucked up plays. So they were already on the right track. As it turns out, Matthew didn't need me to do that rant, because he told me years later that he'd already decided he wanted me to do it. Because he'd come to see Ready for This the week before in London. He very nearly didn't ask me to do it, because for those of you who remember the show, Ready for This features such lovely ballads as I Love Jesus, I Hate Faggots. Which I hope I don't need to explain. And this famous feminist song, I believe that women have the right to walk the streets at night without being afraid for their lives. And I believe a woman has the right to choose what happens to her body without suffering the judgment of the conservative right. And I believe that a woman has the right to wear the clothes she likes without being treated like dirt. And I think we men are pathetic, how we seem to use aesthetic as the measure of a woman's worth. I'm ashamed on behalf of my sex for making women feel like objects. Fuck, I love boobs, don't really mind if I'm behind, below or above them. They're just so droopy, they make me feel groovy. I would rather watch a boob than a movie. Rationalist beat poem about, empirical worldview called song that had that song, Only a Ginger, which is always played in snippets of the chorus, but the point of the song is the incredibly nerve-wracking build-up, which before people got to know the song, this was awful to go through. 2 minutes of people thinking, no, don't just go. And actually, I played, no. I'll do it till the break for people who don't know what I'm talking about. I mean, they're endless, these beginnings.
In our modern free-spoken society, there is a word that we still hold taboo. A word with a terrible history of being used to abuse, oppress and subdue. Just 6 seemingly harmless letters arranged in a way that will form a word with more power than the pieces of metal that are forged to make swords. A couple of G's, an R and an E, an I and an N. 6 little letters all jumbled together cause damage that we may never mend. It's important that we all respect that if these people should happen to choose to reclaim the word as their own, it doesn't mean the rest of you have a right to its use. So never underestimate the power that language imparts. Sticks and stones may break your bones, but words can break hearts. A couple of G's, unless you've had to live it. An R and an E, even I am careful with it. An I and an N, in the end it will only offend. Don't wanna have to spell it out again.
And then I'd go, yeah. Depending on how masochistic I was feeling, I'd just do this for 8 minutes.
Only a ginger.
That night I did the Palestine peace anthem.
We don't eat pigs, you don't eat pigs. It seems it's been that way forever. So if you don't eat pigs, and we don't eat pigs, why not eat pigs together?
Matthew, softly spoken, never swears, his dad's a priest. Got to the end of that show, and when he told me years later, actually he never told me, he told my sister when she was making a documentary about it. He said, so I got to the end of the show, and I thought, dark's good. Clever and wordy, that's good. Funny, it's good. But I can't see there's no evidence of real heart, you know. I can see he'll get the thinking and the tears and the laughter, but I can't see how he'll get the tears. So he stood up thinking, maybe he can co-write it or something.
He's a white wine.
And then as he was about to leave, I walked back on and did an encore, which I'll play at the end of this concept. And that's how I got the job. Those of you who know that story or came to the gig might know what encore is. But he was convinced. And the fact that I had all this experience writing bad musicals didn't really matter, I don't think. I guess it was a bonus. So I got back after this New Zealand Australian tour and found myself at half-empty warehouse artist space in Islington and thought, what the fuck does Matilda... Sorry, what the hell... Are there any kids in the audience?
Not ones that haven't heard it before.
2 different modes. What? Let's go into Matilda mode. What on earth? What on earth? What the bollocks does Matilda sound like? And so, because I just... Do you know, I think my sense of Dahl is so influenced by Quentin Blake, by that. I almost have to reach to climb the trees you get to climb when you're grown up. When I grow up, I will be smart enough to answer all the questions that you need to know the answers to before you're grown up. Every day on the way to work, and I will go to
dangers that you have to fight beneath the bed each night to be a grown-up. I will have treats every day, and I'll play with things that mums pretend that mums don't think are fun. And I will wake up when the sun comes up, and I will spend all day just lying in the sun. And I won't burn, 'cause I'll be all grown up when I grow up. I can't play the song, it's a trumpet. How are we doing? What have we got? What have I done? Probably about like 25 minutes, right?
Yeah, 5 minutes, so keep going.
Just lying. Did the tele cameras film that? That's awful. That's halfway through I went, oh, they're filming this. That's why I'm doing this that way. Should have worn my eyeshadow. So, we went 3 workshops without Matilda singing. I had this idea because in the book and in Dennis Kelly's adaptation of the script, it's like this crazy world of antagonists, of horrid parents and anti-intellectuals and despots sort of revolve around this tiny, quiet thing. And one of the challenges of writing musical theatre is how to get non-demonstrative characters to demonstrate themselves, to talk about themselves, because obviously many characters in musicals are not demonstrative and find ways to sing, but it's a challenge. It's easy to make an extrovert express themselves. And so it took me ages, and the first song I wrote for her was the song I envisaged would be the feeling she got just before she finally, late in the show, her anger, her righteousness, and her impotence bubbles up out of her, and that's when she starts actually being proper magic little superhero. Up until then, her emancipation was born of knowledge and stories and playing tricks on her parents, but when it turns out she has to save someone else, she has to become bigger. And I wanted to know what that moment was like. And I was really motivated by the idea of what it must be like being a 5-year-old with that brilliant. You know, obviously she's preternaturally brilliant, Matilda, she's a genius, but it's quite cute. And in Dahl, obviously it's not too heavy, and in the movie it's, you know, it's a sort of different interpretation, but we put into the mouths of these kids big grown-up words and big grown-up ideas in a way that it has proved over the years suits children just fine, and hopefully it keeps adults on the edge of their seat too. But I wondered what it would be like inside her head and in that house and in the place she lived, and I thought it would be very, very noisy, and that perhaps finally getting that out would be a peaceful thing, even though it was in the middle of a battle sort of thing. Like that. I like that. Say red, for example, there's no way of knowing if red means
start again.
Have you ever wondered, well I have, about how when I say red, for example, there's no way of knowing if red means the same thing in your head as red means in my head when someone says red, and how if we were traveling at almost the speed of light, and we were holding a light, that light would still travel away from us at the full speed of light, which seems right in a way, but I'm trying to say, I'm not sure, but I wonder if inside my head I'm not just a bit different from some of my friends. These answers that come into my mind unbidden, these stories delivered to me, fully written, and when everyone shouts like they seem to like shouting, the noise in my head is incredibly loud, and I just wish they'd stop. My dad and my mom and the telly and the stories would stop for just once, and I'm sorry, I'm not quite explaining it right. The noise becomes anger, and the anger is light, and the burning inside me will usually fade, but it is empty, and the hate and the shouting, and my heart is pounding, and my eyes are burning, and suddenly everything is quiet. Like silence, but not really silence. Just that nice sort of quiet. Like the sound of a page being turned in a book, or a pause in a walk in the woods. Quiet. Like silence, but not really silent. Just that still sort of quiet. Like the sound when you lie upside down in your bed. Just the sound of your heart in your head. And all the people around me, their mouths are still moving. The words they are forming cannot reach me anymore. And it is quiet, and I am warm, like I've sailed into the eye of the storm.
So, the thing I always want to say, I always get asked, and it's very important, I guess, is that we tried to write something that said stuff. Kids love this musical, but grown-ups do too. And I wish it was still running in America, because it's like the original Dahl, and Dahl's obsession was with anti-intellectualism, to the point that he got accused sometimes, rightly, of being a snob. And I've been accused of being a snob because my comedy is so anti-intellectual. It values education, and I know that they're not the only things of value, but Mr. Wormwood sings all I know I learned from telly. I mean, it couldn't be more relevant. All I know I learned from telly, what to think and what to buy. I was pretty smart already, but now I'm really, really smart, very, very smart. Endless content, endless channels, endless shout on endless panels. All you need to make you wise in 26 minutes plus advertisements. I mean, he is Trumpian, but complimented, perhaps outdone in his anti-intellectualism by his wife, who sings, "What you know matters less than the volume with which what you don't know is expressed." Content has never been less important, so you've got to be loud. Yeah. She had a song called Loud. And the headmistress, Miss Trunchbull, is a fascistic despot who is obsessed by rules until they don't suit her anymore, and then she just lies and changes them. And I don't know. I'm proud of how it's held up in its sort of Orwellian predictive value. So if you don't like Donald Trump, you'll love this musical. And if you do like Donald Trump, you'll love it anyway because it'll all go straight. So the antagonists are bullies, anti-intellectual bullies, and on the other side is our kids. And the thing about Dahl that I always loved is that it wasn't just that kids vanquished adults, it was their kidness that vanquished adults. It was their access to imagination. And in this story, the children and their wild imaginations, and particularly with Miss Honey and Matilda, their access to stories, they're emancipated by knowledge and their love of words and stories. And it was a long, long time before, the very last song I wrote was Matilda's first act song, because I couldn't work out how to make her state her case without seeming precocious in a bad way. And then we murdered Hortensia and put Hortensia's spirit of rebellion into Matilda. That's another whole story. And I wrote this song, which I'll sort of play and then maybe answer like 2 questions. And then maybe play the encore, I promised, unless I've gone too long, in which case you can all start booing.
No.
For the musically minded, you'll notice this is harmonically exactly the same as the song I played 2 seconds ago. In fact, I just about started singing. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. So they say the subsequent fall was inevitable. They never stood a chance, they were written that way. Innocent victims of their story. Like Romeo and Juliet, 'twas written in the stars before they even met. That love and fate and a touch of stupidity would rob them of the hope of living happily. Innocent victims of their story. I just screwed up the notes. The hope of living happily, the endings are often a little bit gory. You can edit that, right? I wonder why they didn't just change their story. We're told we have to do what we're told, but surely sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty. Just because you find that life's not fair, it doesn't mean that you just have to grin and bear it. If you always take it on the chin and wear it, nothing will change. Even if you're little, you can do a lot. You mustn't let a little thing like little stop you. If you sit around and let them get on top, you might as well be saying you think that it's okay, and that's not right. Cinderella in the cellar didn't have to do much as far as I could tell. Her godmother was 2/3 fairy. Suddenly her lot was a lot less scary. But what if you haven't got a fairy to fix it? Sometimes you have to make a little bit of mischief. Just because you find that life's not fair, it doesn't mean that you just have to grin and bear it. If you always take it on the chin and wear it, nothing will change. Even if you're little, you can do a lot. You mustn't let a little thing like little stop you. If you sit around and let them get on top, you might as well be saying you think that it's okay, and that's not right. And if it's not right, you have to put it right. In the slip of a bolt, there's a tiny revolt. The seed of a war in the creak of a floorboard. A storm can begin with the flap of a wing. The tiniest mite packs the mightiest sting. Every day starts with the tick of a clock. All the stakes start with the click of a lock. If you're stuck in your story and want to get out, you don't have to cry, you don't have to shout. 'Cause if you're little, you can do a lot. You mustn't let a little thing like little stop you. If you sit around and let them get on top you, nothing will change. Just because you find that life's not fair, it doesn't mean that you just have to grin
chin and wearing. You might as well be saying you think that it's okay, and that's not right. And if it's not right, you have to put it right. And nobody else is gonna put it right for me. Nobody but me is gonna change my story. Sometimes you have to be a little bit naughty.
Sorry. I don't play much these days, so I get.
Oh, we love it.
Stay longer.
I think maybe because they're pressed to have to leave. Phil, do you want me to stop?
No!
Should I just play?
Yes, 5 or 6 more.
I won't answer any of the questions because I've just talked for ages. You can't possibly want to know more. Yeah, I really want to. I've just wasted 4 years of my life on arseholes in Hollywood, and I'm so angry that I have to wait for the anger to subside, and then I'm going to be funny again.
Such a shame.
Bastards. Okay, this is a song about living, a bit about that stuff, about how I'm tired. No, it's not. Actually, this was a song written when my first daughter was 1 week old, and I was living in cold London.
So you need our wine.
Oh, this is the song I played that made me change his mind. I really like Christmas. It's sentimental, I know, but I just really like it. I'm hardly religious. I'd rather dance with the devil than Desmond Tutu, to be honest. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to consumerism, to the commercialization of an ancient religion, to the westernization of a dead Palestinian press gang into selling PlayStations and beer. But I still really like it. I'm looking forward to Christmas, though I'm not expecting a visit from Jesus. I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mom. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I don't go in for ancient wisdom. I don't believe just because ideas are tenacious means that they're worthy. Freaked out by churches. Some of the hymns that they sing have nice chords, but the lyrics are dodgy. And yes, I have all of the usual objections to the miseducation of children who in tax-exempt institutions are taught to externalize blame and to feel ashamed and to judge things as plain right or wrong. But I quite like the songs. I'm not expecting big presents. The old combination of socks, jocks and chocolates is just fine by me. 'Cause I'll be seeing my dad, my brother and sisters, my gran and my mom. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. I'll be seeing
sisters, my gran and my mom. They'll be drinking white wine in the sun. And you, my baby girl, my jet-lagged infant daughter, you'll be handed round the room like a puppy out of primary school. You won't understand, but you will learn someday that wherever you are and whatever you face, these are the people who make you feel safe in this world. My sweet blue-eyed girl. And if my baby girl, when you're 21 or 31 and Christmas comes around and you find yourself 9,000 miles from home, you'll know whatever comes. Your brothers and sisters and me and your mom will be waiting for you in the sun whenever you come. Your brothers and sisters, your aunts and your uncles, your grandparents, cousins, and me and your mom will be waiting for you in the sun, drinking white wine in the sun. Darling, when Christmas comes, we'll be waiting for you in the sun, drinking white wine in the sun, waiting for you in the sun, waiting. I really like Christmas. It's sentimental, I know.
We did promise that would be an absolute treat. I don't think there's anyone in this room now that would argue with that. Thank you again for coming along. We do invite you